Hi there, Sue Wilson, and I'm back with another card, and we are going to do a little bit of gilding with gilding flakes for this one. I love this technique, and people do tell me that they struggle with it, so it's something I like to show periodically from time to time. We'll show you what else we'll be using. This is the stamp we'll be gilding, and this is called Wild Tulips. It matches the Azores die set. The sentiment comes from the Sweet Wishes clear stamp set by Creative Expressions. We're going to be using the Megan die from our frames and tags. Putting a little floral accent with the Chrysanthemum. I've got borders that we've done with the Antlia, part of the Gemini die collection. And here is the Azores, which is the one that matches the stamp. And we'll be doing a bit of embossing with a new folder called Tulip Twist. It's an 8x8 design. And I just thought it would be nice to show. I'm just going to add a little bit of black twine from our Finishing Touches range here. It's nice to add a tiny little bit of accent. It gives you some texture on your card too, and this gives you 3 colors you can use. Okay, let's pop these to the side. So the first thing I'm going to do is create the background, and we're going to do a little bit of embossing to do that. I'll give you a quick measurement. It is 5 1/8 by 7 inches. Okay. Going to bring in my Tulip Twist folder, pop that inside, and the Creative Expressions white adapter plate as the top. Okay. Run it through once. Let's show you what we've got. So you've got some really beautiful embossing on that, and it's just kind of a stylized tulip in the background, so it gives some nice texture too. So I'm going to go ahead and put this onto our background, which I've done some matting and layering using this antique copper and the black. So a bit of glue should do the trick here, all the way around the edge. And let me just get down into that corner and get a nice adhesion. There we go. Pop that into place. Centering that. Looks pretty good. I'm going to come back to this in a few minutes. We're going to do some stamping now. So here is my stamp, and I'm just going to place it onto my craft mat. So we don't want to actually stamp that onto our card. We want to take our card to it. So that's fine like that. I'm going to bring in my flake and glitter glue, and I use it on a piece of wax paper. And the reason I do this is I find it's just easier to clean up rather than putting it onto my craft mat. Now I put out a generous amount because I want to be sure to have enough to cover the entire stamp, and anything extra can go back into the container. I'm going to use a piece of cut and dry foam and just smooth it out so I can pick it up without any big gobs of it anywhere. And we want to just tap it around on our stamp. Get a nice coverage of it, but not too heavy. There we go. Get all that detail all the way around. Just make sure you've got it really nice and covered, but no real big areas that have a lot of glue on it. There we go. The center will be covered, so if I pick up that little spot, I'm not going to be fussed about it. Now I just want to take the card to the stamp, and you've got about 3 seconds, okay? That's all you want to do is just push your hand over it, peel it up. And if you can catch just a little bit, there's a sort of a bluish tinge to it. That means it's not ready yet. But in the meantime, we need to take the glue off of that stamp. So if you're at home, you can just rinse it under the tap, use a nail brush on it. But I'm going to use a grime boss and make sure I get that all off of the printing surface. We don't want any of that to dry on there. There we go. And while this is just setting up, it's a perfect time to clean your stamp too. And remember I said we wouldn't waste any of this. So I'm just going to take the lid off and pop this to one side. And we will just pop this right back into the container. So all I have is a little bit of cleanup, and I can toss that in the rubbish bin. Okay. Let me just dry the damp off my hand and our mat here. There we go. Okay. So now if you find it's still got a little bit of a bluish tinge to it, do a little bit of wafting in the air just to get the air to it. You want it to be completely clear before you take your gilding flakes to it. That looks very good to me. So what we'll do, we're going to bring in our Gemstones. That's the color name of the Creative Expressions Gilding Flakes. And you can see they're just bursting at the seams there. So I'm going to find a little piece of Rubit SCRUBIT pad. Now this is a Ranger product. You buy it in a larger sheet and you just cut little pieces of that. And we are going to use that. So I'm just going to put some around the edge here. Just get a little bit off there, and I can add more if I need it. So I'll move that. And I'm going to just move these around so that they adhere to that glue. Okay. So now I've got them all stuck to the pattern, but we're not done yet. So I've got plenty here. Let me just pop that over there out of the way. We're going to just do a light circular motion, and that will refine all of those flakes. And let me bring in a piece of copy paper. We might be able to catch some of the extra here and save it. There we go. So I can take this off, give it a light dusting, get all that extra flake off, and even a little bit more. Just keep refining it until you get all of that extra flake off. There we go. We can do a tap here. I'm going to do a quick tap. Get all that extra off. I'll leave that. Pop this into our container, which is absolutely overflowing. So let's see if we can get that leftover bit in there. You don't want to waste that either. Okay, there we go. And I'll do a quick little wipe with kitchen roll and clean up some of this. There we go. Still a little messy, but there. Okay, so now you can see how pretty that has gilded. It's picked up all the detail in the wild tulip stamp. And I've got a little bit of a dust on there. Just gonna wipe that off. And because I want to actually embellish this further with glitter, what we're going to do is we are going to cover it with a piece of self-adhesive sticky sheet. I'm just gonna peel the backing off. Pop that right over the top of it. There we go. And lift up the other side of the backing carefully. All right. And I want to coat it with some diamond sprinkles. So I'll use this side of our copy paper. Pop that underneath. Give it a nice little coating. And I'm just going to give it a little swirl around here to cover all the extra bits. There we go. And put this back into our container. Okay. Okay. So now I can burnish this in really nicely, and it will actually push more into that sticky sheet when we cut it, so I wouldn't worry about that. We're going to bring the outer ring of the Azores. We're going to line this up and tape it into place. Just get it equally situated around your image, which you should be able to see through quite easily. Tape it side to side and bring in our cutting plates. There we go. Pop that one down. And you'll hear the crunching from the glitter, so you know it's actually being pushed into that sticky sheet even more. And get that off. There we go. Little sticky bit right there. There we go. That's actually covered in glitter, so I'm not going to reuse those. But you can see it comes out absolutely beautiful. Isn't that pretty? So you see all that gorgeous gilding through the glitter, but you've got a nice shine to it as well. Now what I want to do is add a little bit of an accent to that. So I've taken another one of the Azores out of the antique copper, and I've cut it down the middle. So we're just going to add that onto the back, and I'm going to use a tiny bit of tape on it. And we will just line that up along the edge of it, just so it sticks out ever so slightly. So excuse me while I just lean in, get that nice and straight there. And there'll be just a little bit of a gap between these two. About like that. There we go. So I've got a nice little accent coming off the back of that. So I'm going to add some mounting foam to the back. And let's trim that piece right there. Put that right in the middle. So we can bring back our background that we embossed earlier. I'm going to seat that right on the top of it, in the middle there. There we go. And I've already gone ahead and cut a couple of the Antlia Gemini dies. I've got a black one and one done out of the antique copper. So we will use a tiny bit of spray glue to get these sticky since they're very detailed. And we'll put a little bit on the back of the other one here. Now this is definitely one I would recommend using a bit of Cosmic Shimmer glue on it as well. But just for the video, we will pop it on into place like this. So I'm going to put the black one at the top, just underneath the focal element. And the copper one, I'm going to offset and put it down to the lower part of the card. So you'll be able to see both of them really, really nicely. So I'm going to bring in the backing and add that at this point. Got some mounting foam on that. There we go. Pop that into place like that, and now we'll build up our sentiment. So I've already gone ahead and I've used the center die from the Megan, which is this really beautiful shape, and I've cut it in both white and antique copper. I cut the white one in half, and just like I did with this one, I added it to either side as a accent piece. I've added some mounting foam to the back, and we will add a little bit of extra glue to this because we've got the glitter. I want to make sure that gets nice and tacky. I'm going to pop that right into the center of that die. There we go. Give that a second to set up. I've stamped and cut out a sentiment using that center oval as well, a heartfelt thanks. We'll put that in the middle of that. Okay. Now for my floral element here, we'll bring over some pieces. Like I said, I've tied a little, what I call a messy bow out of the jute. So we're going to lay that down first, and we will use a glue dot for that. Bring that over. Put that into place. And I'm just going to put that on the left side of my borders here. I've tied a little bit of a knot out of some white tulle to add a little bit of an accent from that as well. Pop that on top. And now what I've done with the chrysanthemum is I've done several pieces of it already, but the last section here, I'm using the Tarnished Brass Distress Stain by Tim Holtz. Give it a little shake, and I'm just going to use it on the edges here so we can tip it. Let's get it started. There we go. Tip it along the edge, and it'll bring in some of that coppery color from the embossing all the way around the edge. We could even just go like this, catching it. There we go. And I've got other pieces I've done, so we're just going to do a little bit of a bend up around, and I just bend them around my finger to get the shape of them. Just a little bit. And some glue in the center. There we go. Pop the other ones right in the middle there. Get that. I'll get a glue dot ready for that. We can put that right in the middle of our knot on our tool and add our beautiful flower. And a couple of little leaves, and these also are part of the chrysanthemum set. So you've got everything you need right in that one die set. And we'll just accent a couple underneath there and one underneath here. It's always pretty to have a little leafy accent coming out from your flowers. There we go. You can see how pretty that is. You can add a couple pearls to your border and you have a beautiful card there. Just love the look of that gilding, and with the glitter on top of it, it really shines. Hope you've enjoyed the video. We have a lot more for you on our YouTube channel, and don't forget to subscribe.